Hey everyone, I'm Bhargav, and today I want to talk about Rooks, which is a library that I've been building for the past 4 years now, and it's a library that will help you build your React apps really fast. And I'm going to walk you through the library and some of the process in which I followed when I was building the library, some learnings, and also probably just show you a few hooks that are part of the Rooks package, and then hopefully get you excited about using Rooks on your personal projects and also at your companies. So a little bit about me. So my name is Bhargav Ponnapalli, and I've been in this space for about 11 years now, and I've worked at Style Components as a core contributor. So I worked during the V4 release, and then around that time, React hooks were sort of launched in October 2018 or so, and since then I've just focused all my efforts on Rooks, which I'll get into very soon. So I also like teaching. I've trained a lot of people on Code Mentor. I also like to make videos on Instagram and on YouTube on programming and React, JavaScript, all of that. And right now, I'm full time teacher and open source. So if you want to learn more about me, you can follow some of my handles, and the link is here. I'll share it in the chat in a bit. So Rooks. So I started this project on the same night as when the React hooks were announced. I was sort of blown away by how amazingly easy it is to write hooks, because I mean it looks like it's just a simple function call. Use state is a simple function call, but how does it even work? Like if any other function inside the function body, it just does not work. And what happens when use state gets called? What are the inner workings behind hooks? All of that really drove my attention towards hooks, and I started understanding more about how hooks really work. And then I was just so fascinated that I thought building a hooks library is the next big thing that we should be doing. And I started Rooks that day. So Rooks is a collection of around 70 hooks, and we have been building this since 2018. And it has a collection of many hooks that will help you build your components really easily. And it's fully open source, and it's trusted by many companies, including some companies like Amazon. AWS is probably using Rooks in one of their projects. It has around 2,500 stars and around 300,000 monthly downloads, and the downloads are picking up lately. So why would you use Rooks? So I built Rooks because when I was doing freelancing, I would often build the same components over and over again, and the logic is pretty much the same. If you have to, let us say, open a drop down, the logic is pretty much same. When you click on something, you open a menu. When you click away, it has to close, and then you should allow people to select an option. So all of these are pretty much the same things over and over. And I thought hooks was sort of perfect to just sort of modularize all of that logic at one place, and then just keep using it over and over again. And before hooks, you might probably remember the scene back then where we were using higher order components. We were also using render props. So all of this weird, not weird, but it was necessary weirdness back then. We had to do all of that, but hooks sort of just takes away all of that complexity away. It's a slightly different learning experience because a lot of things are happening under the hood in React. But once you start using hooks, there's no going back. So so Rooks just takes advantage of all of that, and we have a fully tested code base, and Rooks is maintained very actively, and we have growing contributors and downloads. And I'll talk about some more examples in a bit. And so these are our contributors as of today, and we are so grateful for all of their efforts. And now I'm going to just slightly take you towards a demo and just show you how some hooks are sort of structured. So 1 minute, I'll have to stop sharing my screen first. How do I do that? Okay, I can bring that one here. Where is it? Okay, so the website is at rooks.versal.app. And so one hook that I want to show you is use mouse. It's a pretty handy hook. It gives you the position of the mouse position as you move. So it just uses the mouse position from the web APIs and just grabs that position and allows you to simply grab it and use it like this. It's probably the font is probably a little small, but maybe this is helpful. So the documentation is pretty thorough. We have documented all the hooks that we're using here, and it's pretty easy to follow. And so similar to use mouse, which is sort of the web API to interact with the mouse. We also have many APIs to tackle local storage, for example. So there is a hook called use local storage state. I'll also show you an example. Mm, yeah. So this is actually one of my most used hooks. So generally, when you create a state variable, you simply do set count and create a state variable, and you can increment it. And when you reload, the count is gone. But obviously, in most cases, that's what you need. But there are some cases where it's really helpful if the count sort of stays, and that's where a use local storage state comes in. So you can just simply import that hook from Rooks, and then just give it a key, and this key will be used to track the state value inside the local storage. And when you increment it, it's going to sort of stay in the state. I'll show you over here. The example is here. This is a demo, so I can increment this, and when I reload, it's going to start off with 11 once again. And the best part is I've also used some of the storage APIs to sort of sync the state across tabs. So even if I click increment here, it'll sort of update here as well across tabs. So this uses the web API, the storage APIs inside the browser, and it's pretty powerful. So use local storage state is probably the only place where you would leverage that. Use session storage doesn't really make sense to use that there, but this is a nice touch, because sometimes what happens is you're sort of, maybe there's a theme or something that you want to sort of manage across tabs. And I think there's an example here. Yeah, so I just made this quick example for you to show. So sometimes you want a user to toggle a sidebar and you just want to keep that across tabs. It's a nice touch that even if they're on a different tab, it's going to get synced, right? So I mean, you'd probably use this for a theme, to change the theme from dark mode to light mode and just track across tabs. It's very easy to build this with Rooks, just a one liner pretty much, right? It looks something like this. And now I'll probably show you a a bit more, uh, slightly more nuanced example. And this is basically building a dropdown with nothing but Rooks. So I just used a hook called use selectable list, which will sort of manage an array, and you can select one value, and you can start off with no value selected, which is this one, and then you can click, and I'll be using the use toggle hook to sort of open and hide the menu. And so the best thing about using hooks is that everything is so declarative. So when you read this, you know that, okay, I'm selecting a list, some item from a list, and here I'm sort of toggling something, and in this case it's a menu, and I want to track the outside click as well. So when I open the menu and I click outside, it should close. So, and I want to only run this handler when the menu is open. So the second argument is if menu is open and and you click outside, then I want to close the model, the menu. So use outside click, toggle the menu only when the menu is open. So if it's already closed, nothing really happens. So everything is so declarative here. And then another nice touch that you can do is sometimes a user clicks on opens a menu, probably just click somewhere else, and when they come back, the menu is still open. And you could do something like this, where you open the menu and they click outside. You will check the visibility of the document. So if the user sort of goes away from the page, then it is technically not visible anymore, so the dropdown automatically closes. So there are many sort of utilities that Rooks exposes that you can use to supercharge your components and start building components really quickly. So let me see if there are any other examples that I can show you. Yeah, so some data structures that you probably might use are use queue state. If you want to manage the state of a queue, you can add values to the queue and then dequeue. Just some nice demo if you want to check it out. So all of the code is pretty much present in the sandbox. You can always check out. And this is the stack demo. And you can also manage asynchronous effects easily. So using effects with using asynchronous data fetching with an effects is sort of convoluted, because what happens if you make a call to a server and then your component unmounts and then the data is fetched, and you try to bake state operations on a component that is sort of unmounted. So there are all sort of these edge cases where you have to worry about, and you don't have to worry about all of that. Use asynchronous effect takes care of all of that. um, Example is still pending, but this makes it really easy for you to make API calls from within a use effect. um, and then there's also use interval when, so you can just start running an interval and stop it and so on. And then there are some UI related hooks. We have some hooks for managing the bounding region of, let us say, a div. So I don't know how visible this is, but these are the current coordinates and height and width of this div, and if I move it left and right, its coordinates sort of get changed. And you can use this for maybe if you're building a UI editor of maybe component builder or something like that. These are things that you could use. There are some, again, nice hooks for full screen, geolocation, in view. And this is also something a lot of people use, which is simply grabbing um, the uh, the keyboard events. I think there's a nice example somewhere. Yeah, if I type something, this card just keep coming up. um, so definitely give this a try. There are many hooks. I can keep talking about this all day. And there are some nice hooks from Lodash as well. So Lodash has a debounce hook. Then you can use debounce to sort of debounce any 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 input. So if you want to limit the number of API calls that happen when someone is searching in your form, you could debounce it and just use the debounced value and sort of make a call only like once every 2 seconds, something like that. Right. So we are still working on some hooks for, one moment, where is the, yep, back, no, not here, where is it? Okay, it's this. Okay, so we are still building hooks related to forms. We are trying to build hooks that are that have that are sort of related to more powerful state management options like Jotai and Vault.io. You're probably not uh, familiar with Jotai. It's a smaller library, and it's recently picking up pace. And Jotai is really good. It gives you the ability to create state variables which can create state across components, so you don't need a context to communicate across siblings. That is not really possible with simple React, but Jotai can do that. Vault.io is a proxy based state management library. So the idea is to make Rooks as versatile as possible and add as many options as possible to make it really easy for people to build web apps. We're also trying to focus more on accessibility and web APIs. So, for example, there is battery indicator that you could use to, if someone wants to use to check how much battery is present in the laptop or mobile, or if the network is on and off. So we're trying to build some hooks on that as well. And some other reasons why I would consider using Rooks is that it's very well actively maintained. It's sort of my full-time job now. I keep doing Rooks all day, and then I sort of earn money by teaching and by doing freelancing on the side. So I just keep doing this all the time. I've been doing this for 4 years. I'll keep doing this for maybe another 4 years or so. And it's thoroughly documented. It has JS doc support and VS Code auto suggest, so you don't have to worry about opening up Rook's website to figure out how a hook works. All the documentation is sort of tied in. If you just hover on a hook, it will sort of show you the example use case and how the hook works in different options. Right. So many more exciting things coming up, including a new website that we're sort of launching in the next month or so. And we're always looking for new contributors. So if you're excited about something like this, and if you want to help us build it, please let me know. It's completely open source, and we would love to have as many contributors as possible. So some learnings that I want to definitely share when I was building this is because, so when I first started building this, I was relatively not that exposed to some very high quality coding principles. Like, for example, if you look at React or Rooks, React or Redux, the code bases, they're very mature. They're built really thoroughly, and I made quite a few mistakes when I was making hooks. Some hooks were really poorly done, and I think it was until last year I could not really find the time to fix those mistakes. So some mistakes just stay in open source for a long time. A lot of users will suffer. because of your poor decisions, but it just happens. You don't have to really wait until you learn everything to build an open source project. You can just start building, and when when mistakes will show up, you can just take some time to figure out what's the right approach and correct it. So one learning there is that if you make a mistake, it will probably just hurt a few users, and it'll be public. It'll probably hurt you as well. But if you take something positive out of it, it's going to definitely be helpful for you as well as for that user. And testing was something that I neglected when I first started building Rooks, and that obviously was a shot in the foot. But now it's well tested. It also has strong typing now, which we just with TypeScript is just that you a lot of these errors that if you simply don't ignore them and just look at the error closely, you'll probably fix a lot of these issues even just while writing the code. You don't even have to test them. So strongly typing your open source packages is probably a good practice that you should give some importance to. And good things take time. So Rooks, I've been building this for a long time, and it only started gathering some attention in the last year or so. So sometimes it can take even longer, but open source is a process. It's not, there's no reward once you do this. It's the reward is that you help a lot of people out and you probably earn some name out of it, but it's tireless. You don't earn anything from it. But if you spend a lot of time doing open source, your skills are going to improve very quickly. You're going to meet a lot of people, and it'll also help you find a better job. So so the strong takeaway for me personally is that if you keep doing open source, it's going to help you in one way or another. Probably not immediately, but things will take time. So that's all about Rooks. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to Rooks, and probably hope to get you excited about using it, and maybe convince you to use it in your project. But if you have any questions, please you can ask. But otherwise, yeah, thank you.